For our inference, we're using a chi-squared distribution. Now, I mentioned before that a one proportion test uses one normal distribution. A two proportion test uses two normal distributions, and a chi-squared test can come from many normal distributions. So I'm going to show you on Fathom where this distribution comes from. Now, as I show you it, I want you to know that the degree of freedom, when the degree of freedom is low, the distribution is going to look like this. When degree of freedom is 4, it's going to kind of move to the right. And as degree of freedom is 8, it's going to move further to the right. So it's still going to be skewed to the right. It's just moving the median and mean to the right of that distribution. And I'll show you how we get this chi-square distribution. So what we do is we start with some random numbers. So I just picked some random normal numbers. And if you look at this, that looks pretty normal, right? N2 should be normal. So I did all the way up to N10 being normal. Now, once I did that, what the chi-square does is it's chi-squared, so there's a squaring that's happening. So if I square all of these values, if I just square one of them, let's look what happens. See, it's skewed to the right distribution. I'm taking all of the values that were negative, and since I'm squaring it, it's making a positive. And that's going to be the same for this. So in our degree of freedom, as our degree of freedom increases, what I'm doing is I'm combining two of those distributions. I'm taking the square of one normal distribution plus the square of another normal distribution. So if my degree of freedom is 1, it looks something like this. If my degree of freedom is 2, now I'm squaring 3 distributions. You can see it starts to move to the right a little bit. Starts to move to the right a little bit more. And it just kind of slowly kind of creeps. Now we're at degree of freedom 6, degree of freedom 7, here's degree of freedom 8, and you can see the distribution still skewed to the right. It's just not as skewed as the first distribution. So that's what the distribution looks like for a chi-square distribution. Now, getting p-values from that distribution, there's a couple ways. There's using your calculator, but AP gives you this chart. So the chart has a picture of a chi-square distribution, again skewed to the right. The probability given on this top, it corresponds with this gray area to the right. So you find a chi-squared value, and you come down on the degree of freedom, and you go over till you find your chi-square value. Going up tells you approximately your p-value for that situation. Once we get into specific tests, I think it might make a little bit more sense.